Have you ever wanted to be Tywin Lannister and see the whole of Westeros bend their knees due to your military brilliance? Have you ever wanted to be Littlefinger and usurp the title through nefarious schemes? Or more importantly, do you want to play a board game that encourages you to be a deceitful
In Game of Thrones the board game, you and your friends will be fighting over the Iron Throne of Westeros. As heads of the great houses, you'll raise armies, seduce your neighbours into alliances, and inevitably betray them on your way to capturing 7 castles. Or just like in real life, whoever has the most castles after 10 terms is named king. I may as well mention this now, if you or your friends aren't remotely interested in the books or the TV show, rest assured that you don't need to have an intimate knowledge of the source material to appreciate the merits of this game. And who wouldn't want to rule such a gorgeous kingdom? Fantasy Flight, as usual, have published an astonishingly beautiful game. The board, the units, the card art scream quality. You put these beautiful objects on your table and your friends won't be able to wait to get started.
Except they're going to have to wait because Game of Thrones, the board game comes with quite a tricky rules explanation. Now my friend Andy can teach you how to play this in like 20-25 minutes, but half of that time is going to be spent explaining how ports work. Yes, ports. Allow me to just read an excerpt from the other port rules section of the manual. Not the ports rules, other port rules. If during the resolve consolidate power order step of the action phase there are enemy ships in the sea area connected to a port, any consolidate power order assigned to the port is removed without effect. Otherwise a consolidate power order in a port is resolved normally, as if it was in a land area containing no power icons. A special consolidate power order cannot be used to muster units if placed on a port, but may still be used to collect power as normal, subject to the above point. You still watching the video? Yeah, if using parking spaces for boats is more complicated than combat, you're kind of doing it wrong. Okay, most strategy war games, you'll spend your turn moving your units around and then pass to player 2, player 3, player 4, by the time you got to player 5 you lost the will to live and then it's your turn again. In Game of Thrones, your actions are determined by order tokens. Now that might be a march order or a defend order. And you place these tokens face down in secret. You also only have a couple of each type of order, and some of them actually give you a penalty for using them. So you're probably going to have to trust somebody and make an alliance. And the problem with trusting somebody is that everyone's a twat. Everyone is a twat. It should be called Game of Twats.
You are here at the Reach, and you want to take King's Landing, currently held by the Baratheon player. You've been quite cosy with the Lannisters here in Blackwater, and they agree to help you slap the Baratheons in exchange for you helping them later on. So you place your order tokens, and then the reveal comes, and you flip over your march order. The Baratheons flip over a defend order, and then the Lannister player flips over a support order, granting a bonus to the army of his choosing. Excellent! Except it isn't excellent, is it? Because the Lannister player announces he's supporting the Baratheons, and you're f***ed. You're completely f***ing f***ed. Your army is slaughtered, and on the next turn the Lannisters rock up with siege engines and take your castle, which is what he wanted all along. You're fucked.
This captures the duplicitous nature of Game of Thrones perfectly. Game of Thrones is about a series of deceitful characters deceiving each other to gain more power, and your friends will have to do the same if they want to win. But to get the most out of this, you're going to have 5 or 6 players. It does say 3+ players on the box, but to get the best out of it, I'd say 5 as an absolute minimum. Another way in which Game of Thrones differs from strategy games is how you muster units. Now, in most other strategy games, you can just build units at will as long as you've got the resources to do so. Here, your supply limit and when you can actually recruit units is determined by event cards. Now, you're waiting for a mustering card. When a mustering card is drawn from the event deck, everybody can muster units. If you want to take advantage of the more fertile land you've just conquered, you've got to wait for a supply card to be drawn so you can adjust and increase your supply limits. The good thing about this is it can allow people a way back into the game. Everybody can group together and claw at the leader, gradually dwindling their forces, and they may not be able to reinforce in time. The only problem is, if you're really in desperate need of forces and you don't draw a mustering card, well, you're f***ed.
While we're talking about mustering and supply, I may as well talk about combat. Combat is surprisingly simple, and everybody has the 4 units used in the books: a man, Shergar, a phallus, and a Zimmer frame.
Each unit has a set combat strength, and when two armies meet, whoever has the most combat strength wins the battle. Units can get bonuses from certain orders and also from whoever's leading them. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to look at your spelt deck of commander cards, and in secret, you're going to choose one. You may choose a famous Viking pirate bastard, Victarion Greyjoy. And what he does is he gives you +3 combat strength. Some of them also have special abilities. Now each house has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these. They all vary in quality. Some of them are special abilities, some of them just outright kill other units. Now you're probably thinking, well, why don't you just use your best card? Well, let's say you play Victarion Greyjoy in one battle, you can't use them again until you've played all of them. So it asks that classic war game question. When is it best to use your worst general?
Occasionally, an event card will trigger a bid on these 3 influence tracks here, and these are important. They can give you an edge in combat or can give you the power to break ties, and you'll bid for these blindly using these power tokens that you'll be collecting throughout the game. Now these represent resources and influence that you'll be earning as you play. And I love bidding and auction mechanics in games, but due to the limited resources available to you, you'll have to specialise in one of these tracks, as you're unlikely to win all 3. A similar system is used to combat the wildlings. Occasionally, a wildling event will trigger, and the wildling tribes in the north will pop over the wall and start making people's lives a misery. In theory. But to be honest, in the games of this that I've played, wildlings have been little more than a mild inconvenience, which is a shame really, as having a genuine crisis to force everybody to work together would have been nice.
I've heard a lot of people describe this game as overcomplicated Risk. While I do think that's a little bit unfair, that criticism isn't without its merits. Right, okay, placing orders in secret is really clever. Combat's interesting. The blind bidding for influence tracks is great. It's just far more complex than it needs to be. I've hardly got this to the table because it's such a ball ache to teach. And it's a shame really that such an interesting game with a lot of beautiful components and very well thought out mechanics, it just seems to be just let down by a flabby, unwieldy manual. If you're into your board games, you've probably made your own mind up by now about whether this will fit your group. But if you're just a fan of the show or the books and you're looking to buy your first board game, just bear in mind that you'll be going in at the deep end if you make this your first purchase.
Hi everyone, thank you very much for watching. My name's Chris. If you'd like to see more from me, then do click on that subscribe button. I try and upload as many videos as I can. If you'd like to go that extra step, please consider visiting my Patreon page and help to make advertisement-free YouTube content viable. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.